Hello. We we are experiencing a lot of illness. Um, People are losing um, use of their motor skills and losing their eyesight, and you know, in the black community, um, hypertension and sugar diabetes is very big. There's a lot of people that are living with those illnesses, um, and undergoing treatment to manage those things. When you are used to having your independence, to being able to, go and come as you please, to do things for yourself, to move around basically the way you would like to move around, it's hard to transition into not being able, into being dependent, into being um, immobile, um, into not having your freedom, into depending on people and devices to assist you with your everyday task. Um, it can be challenging to say the least. It can be a bit stressful. And in my opinion, when that happens, I think people really need to have some kind of counseling for that, in order to deal with it, in order to cope. And we don't. A lot of times we just don't go to counseling. We try to work through whatever our issues are, but it's not so easy sometimes. I really am a believer that now, because I didn't counseling, no. And a lot of people tried to get me to go to counseling, but I just didn't. I don't like the vulnerability of it all. Um, I don't like, well, not now, I should say I didn't. I didn't like bringing those feelings back up, because for me, I would go back into those places at that time, um, when I had those feelings, and those feelings would resurface, and I would feel that pain all over again. And I didn't want to feel that. Um, so the few times that I did sit down and talk to someone, it helped me a little bit, but it made me realize that I have a great that I have a greater issue, um, because I could not really. I was holding back. I was holding back because I didn't want to feel the pain that came with those memories, those events. And it's very important, and I get it, I understand, but it's very important that we talk these things out. It's very important that we get these things out, that we don't hold them inside, because that causes an issue. You know, a lot of other things grow inside of you because of that pain. And you start to be angry. um and I was very, very angry. I didn't even realize how angry I was until I started addressing my issues and really started looking at me, and then I could see it. um it makes you lean on things such as drugs and alcohol. um and I did that because I didn't want to deal with the issues. I didn't want to deal with the feelings that came along. So I numbed myself, and in numbing myself, I drank a lot, and I abused marijuana. Um, it's not easy talking about how you really, really, really feel. Most times because we feel like people are judging us, and no one wants to be judged. No one wants to be looked at or frowned upon. So when you have physical disabilities, physical handicaps, things that physically stop you from doing what you're used to doing, those things, it tends to play on your mind a little bit. It tends to play on your mind because you have to depend on people. And a lot of times we don't want to accept what life is. We don't want to accept our responsibilities and our roles in situations. We don't want to accept that we do need help. We don't want to accept the realities of our life. And it's very important that we do, because even through those things, we can still be happy. We can still be productive. We can still live a full, rich life. Um, we don't have to be angry. We don't have to be angry. It's a choice that we make. And a lot of people haven't gotten to that point to just say, this is what God has willed for me, and I'm going to accept it and maneuver through life as best as I can with it, knowing that He's not going to give you too much. He's not going to give you more than you can bear. So we have to really look at that and understand that when we're going through these situations, and when we're having these sicknesses that's taking us, out of our comfort zone, and challenging us. There are people that they just go about their life, and no matter what you try to do for them, no matter what you say to them, no matter how you try to assist and be there for them, nothing is ever good enough. And that's because they're angry inside and don't know how to deal with those feelings. They don't know how to accept help. They don't know how to accept that they need people. We all need each other in some way or another. We can't do it by ourselves. Um, and we have to start accepting that. We have to start accepting that charitable hand when people are reaching out to us when we're in need. I remember I was always like kind of, I'm better about it now, but I was always the type that would say that I'm cool. I'm good because I didn't want people to know that I was hurting. Um, when I had a need, I mean, it had to really get bad for me to go and ask someone for help because it was a pride issue and I didn't want people to know that I needed help. I remember when I was in my state of homelessness um, for years. It was like 2 years, the last one. No one knew. No one knew because I didn't say anything to anyone. The only one person that knew was my sister. She was the only one person that knew. Um, but she didn't know the struggles of it. All she knew is that I had lost my place, and well, let me say on my fam in my family, because I did have to let my children's fathers know because they assisted me a lot during that process. Their families, if not them. Um, my pride, my pride wouldn't allow me to. Even to this day, my mother still believes that I lived in that apartment until I moved out and moved to where I am today. She doesn't know, because of my pride. I just, I didn't want to deal with people in their judgment. And we really have to stop doing that because we turn people off. Um, no one wants to hear that. We have a hard enough time accepting the fact that we're in this position, that we're in this place, um, and that some of our actions got us there. We have a hard enough time accepting that. We don't want to go through all the extra that comes with you passing judgment on us, what you shoulda, coulda, woulda did, and how I shoulda did this, and I shouldn't have did that, and da da da. That's the last thing we need. We just need motivation and encouragement to keep on moving through, you know, our situation. That's it. That's all. Anything less than that, we really don't need it. And that's why a lot of people just shut down and don't want to speak about their feelings. That's why, you know. But we have to be more understanding and understand that it is a challenge. It is very difficult to go from, you know, having all your motor skills to losing them, having all your senses and your faculties to losing them, having everything that, material things that are vital, like a roof over your head. Even a car is vital. I mean, you got to get back and forth to work. And me, I, I don't like Metro. I go through a little bit of anxiety just thinking about Metro. I don't want to be on Metro. You know, that's a necessity, right? Trying to figure out where your next meal is going to come from. Necessities. So we have a hard enough time dealing with those things or lack thereof. We don't need the extra that comes with it. We really don't. We need people that's going to continue to be patient with us and try to help us through the process. And for those people that's going through these things, you can't lash out at individuals that's just trying to be there to assist. You can't allow your anger to turn on the people that are trying to stand with you, by you, and for you during your situations, during your hardships, during your difficulties. You can't do that. We have to learn how to project our anger in positive ways. You can be angry, it's fine, to be angry. But you have to think about, why are you angry? Angry. Who are you angry with? Okay? Put your stuff in perspective. You have to get an understanding towards your situation, how you got there, and what things it required to get you out of it, if there is an out. If not, you have to accept. You have to accept. You have to just go along with the process in your life. Because this is ordained. This is what God will for you, and there's nothing that you can do about it. We have to start making better decisions to prevent ourselves from being in certain situations. If you go to the doctor tell you that your sugar elevated. Why are you continuously doing things that's going to increase that? You need to change your diet. Hypertension. We need to get out of stressful situations. We need to change our diet. We need to do things differently. We need to put ourselves in preventive, situations and frame of minds to prevent some of this stuff. You know, because we already know no one wants to live and not be living a full life the way you're used to. It's an adjustment. That's why a lot of people don't want to get old. It's an adjustment getting old. Yes, it is. I used to feel that way. Now I don't. Yep, now I don't. I realize that being older is a great, great blessing. I'm ready to go through the process of getting older. I'm ready to go through it. Because I'm I'm really at the point in time in my life where I just want to see what else God has for me and what that's going to bring and how I'm going to grow and blossom in my old age. Yep. It's a lot of people that don't live to see old age. A lot of people, didn't live to, I'm 45. Didn't live to see 45. Won't live to see 50. People haven't lived to see 60, 70, 80. You know. I look forward to it. I welcome it. I welcome it because I want there to be more years in front of me. I surely do. Certainly. Want there to be more years in front of me. And I'm not going to frown at the process that I'm going to go through to see those years. I'm in acceptance of it. It's the process of life. And we all have to go through it. If we're blessed, we all will go through it. You know. So I just want people that's going through these moments with family members, friends, significant others, so on and so forth, whereas there's nothing that they can do that's ever good enough, and it feels like, they just fighting a losing battle trying to be there for this person because of the things that they're challenged with and the things that they're going through. Don't lose hope. Don't give up. That's when, you really got to put on your prayer armor and go in with prayer. You really do, because the person that's giving you such a hard time when all you're trying to do is assist, they need a lot of prayers. They need a lot of prayers, and they really do. Whether they see it or not, they need people in their corner. And unfortunately, we push people away before we start to embrace. We do. I remember being at a point in time where a lot of points in time where I would get afraid when I started getting a little bit close to somebody. And I used to sabotage myself and do little crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Because I wasn't used to anything good. So when, something good came along, it was kind of foreign to me. And I just used to do things. Then that I look at it, it's just like, that's a sickness. That's crazy, you know. But when you're not used to something, you do crazy things. You have to mentally, physically, and emotionally, spirit and spiritually get yourself in the frame of mind of acceptance. This is what it is, and I accept it, whatever it may be. And we can't live in fear. We have to let that go. We can't be afraid of what tomorrow is going to bring. We have to embrace it. We have to embrace our today and live in it. The full live as full as we can. We have to live in it. And it's not always easy depending on what you're going through. It is not always easy. It really isn't. I remember one time being really, really attached to this guy, and he, just felt like he wasn't able to give me the things that I wanted. But instead of him speaking that, he just disappeared. And it crushed me. It crushed me, and I didn't understand. I didn't understand, and I went through this whole spiral behind that. And my mental was off track, you know, my spiritual was off track. I just went through a rough time. And I didn't have to. All I had to do was accept that this is what it has to be, that this is what it's going to be, and that I don't need to stress myself out over it. And with that, I could have saved myself a lot of heartache, a lot of pain, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of tears. I could have saved myself a lot. But we don't always see when we're going through that storm, we don't always see how to get out of it. We don't always see, the escape. And we just calmly walk right through it. We'll be fine. We can stand there and let it pass through us. We'll be fine. But when we fight and resist, we causing a whole nother problem. And that's what we can't do. We can't resist and we can't fight, because God's will is His will, and it's going to be done whether we like it or not. So we just have to live our life in acceptance of these things. Acceptance. We don't want to cause ourselves any more hardship and pain than we have to. We already going through enough. We don't need to add to that. We need to be finding ways to try to get some of these monkeys off of our back. Knock some of these chips off our shoulder. We don't need to be building up anything else. We have enough that we're dealing with. Okay? So patience is a virtue. It really is when you're dealing with individuals who are having these issues. Patience is a virtue, and you have to have faith that things will turn around. And you have to, as tiresome as it can be sometimes, you have to continuously remind them that you are only there to help. That you are only there to help. And that anything that they need, they can call on you, And they're not in this thing alone. And you're going to get pushed away a lot. But trust me, it's going to be well worth it when they start pushing and start embracing. It's going to be well worth it. We don't stay in situations forever. All things have an expiration date, and that's one of them that has an expiration date. It will get better. It will get better. You just have to stay faithful. You have to stay faithful and stand the course and stay prayed up, because you're going to need all the prayers. They're going to need all the prayers. Because if anything, God forbid, should happen, and the shoe is on the other foot, you would want someone to do the same for you. The same for you. The people, we really have to get in tune with our spirituality. And it's so important. We have to do that anyway, but when we're going through things, it is very, very important that we have a spiritual connection. It really is, because we are vulnerable and we leave ourselves open for so much. So if we are spiritually grounded, we can combat some of those things. We can put up a good fight against some of these things. But if we're not, hey, we can't do it by ourselves. We can't do it by ourselves. We need help. And we need Him all the time. So we have to be mindful of that. And that's the one time where, that's the wrong time to turn away. The wrong time. That's when you should be running, towards spiritual guidance. Not walking away from it. Okay? So, just understand that it is a process. It is a process that we all go through. And it is not going to always be easy like anything in life. We would hope. We would want it to be. But the realities is it's not. There are highs and lows with everything. So we just have to stay in the course with our loved ones and our friends and family, and, weather the storm with them and not watch them be taken by it. And it is going to take a lot of patience. It's going to take a lot of patience and a lot of understanding. But it'll be well worth it when you all come out. It'll be well worth it. You just have to stand the course. And not give up on them. Can't give up on people. Can't give up on people, because when they're going through something, these physical illnesses and some mental illnesses, they need us the most. And we can't give up on them. That's when we have to be there and, plant our feet deep into the ground and stand with them, for them, and by them. And that will help them to pull through. Okay? It's very, very important that we start supporting each other in these difficult times and not walking away from each other, because that only makes things worse. All right? So, think about that. Think about that when, your loved one is pushing you away and all you're trying to do is help. Think about what they may be going through. Pray. Have patience. Develop some understanding. And let's sometimes, if not all the time, put ourselves in their shoes. That will help us to have an understanding as to what's going on. That will help us to develop more patience. That would help us to stand the course. That would help us to help them. Okay? So, y'all enjoy your day. Stay blessed. Stay faithful. Stay righteous. MJK.